is Katherine, and I'm a head of business development, marketing, and sales in the company called Dala & Research Group. We are an IT consultancy in the United States, and linguistics is not exactly something we do professionally, although obviously, just every other IT company, we have our own chatbots and other language-related technologies we're trying to tackle down. But it's more of my passion. And when we're talking about linguistics in the context of AI, it's something that is quite difficult to understand sometimes. Like, for example, not long ago, one very known media was interviewing me on how do we see AI evolving and what we think is going to be happening next. And when I gave the answer, I was asked to rephrase it because it might be a bit too difficult to understand, and a lot of people don't exactly understand what it is. And when I was at the conference, like one of my last conferences about a few weeks ago that was related to AI, I got to talk to some people who has been doing that for such a long time, like more than 20 years, and we all came to the conclusion that even when people say that they know what AI is, they actually don't understand it. And the point of my keynote today is to give a bit of more information so the companies and startups and just people around that, well, we have every day, they can know and understand and implement it if they can. Now let's start with just the basics. AI, as we know it, is an artificial intelligence, and it makes it possible for machines to learn from us. It learns to mimic how we speak, how we act, the thing about it. They have to be pretty much human-like. The underlying under it is that they have to mimic us to the point that we don't understand that we're interacting with a machine. So when we talk to an AI, for example, a chatbot or a virtual assistant, it has to respond just like we would do that. And let's think about the normal everyday applications that we've seen already. There can be a robot that is playing chess, or it can be a self-driving car. It's all based on AI. It's not just a stack of technologies, but there's also like something that is moving it. Now, if we talk about linguistics, a lot of people think that, okay, if a person speaks a lot of languages, he might be a linguist. I wish it was the case, but it's not. Linguistics is actually a scientific area of expertise that tackles down every single point of linguistics and takes it apart. It goes with phonology, syntax, with the lexics, everything. It's what based our language. And there's a specific part of it that is called computational linguistics, which in reality is a subproduct of linguistics and artificial intelligence. This is what basically moves artificial intelligence and helps it to speak, just like we would do normally. The human ability to speak and understand is something that we take as a given, but at the same time for machines it's something really difficult, so there should be people who actually teach it, and that's who computational linguists are. Now, basically, computational linguistics, it's not just something related that, okay, this is computational, so it should be mathematics. No, it's not just mathematics and language. It's composed of different areas of expertise, like we have psychology, philosophy, cognitive science. All of it forms part of computational linguistics. Without these parts, it would not be complete. So there would be pretty much no point of having it. And there kicks in the machine learning. There's something that we already heard a lot about today, so I'm not going to go into like details about what it is. You already know what it is. But how do we actually link the machine learning and linguistics? What is the subproduct of it? How does it even work? And why do we need it? And why am I even speaking about it? The result of mixing linguistics and machine learning is what we know as a natural language processing. This is the machine learning area that allows computers to understand, analyze, manipulate, and to basically just turn around our language and use it for machines or computers. This is something that allows the robots to take our language, our ability to speak, and to use it for technologies. Now, it's not just one concept. Just like any other great thing, it's composed of three base things. So the NLP, which is a natural language processing, is like an umbrella that overtakes all of it. It's something that helps technologies to engage with people with the communication of the human language. Under it, and I think this is the most important part, and I cannot stress it enough, this is natural language understanding. This is basically, we can put it as the understanding of a meaning. So if natural language processing is a general idea, it's a general process of how it works, the natural language understanding is something that actually lets machines to try to understand when we say double meaning words or the puns or something else. Because for us, it's really easy to understand it. For machines, it's not. For them, it's just like a sequence of words. And this is probably the most important part of computational linguistics when it comes to AI. It's something that makes them help us understand it. The most viable example would be that without the natural language understanding, when it's applied correctly, when you talk to a virtual assistant, you will get a flowing conversation as if you would have it with any other different person. And without it, that's the case when you send a message to a chatbot, like they're really popular now. And then for the 5th time, you get, "I'm sorry, I did not understand you. Can you please repeat it?" Now, with having the languages, since we have this whole theoretical part already covered, it's important to know how it is actually applied in AI. Linguistics, as it is probably one of the fundamentals of how we know that technology is going to work well for us. We have the most typical everyday examples. There would be Amazon Alexa, Siri, Microsoft Cortana, Google Assistant, and the different chatbots. This is what we use every day. This is what is supposed to make our life easy. This is one of the viable examples of how we know that this communication has to be seamless and has to be really well. But at the same time, it also comes with its own problems. Like, for example, Amazon, Alexa, and Siri, they are trained to answer and understand our talk sequence by sequence, which is a sentence by sentence. So they're not trained to exactly carry on the really good conversation. Even if you pull out your phone and you give the request to one of these systems and try to make it 2 sentences, it's not going to catch one of the parts. And this is what is essential for us if we want to make our life easier with the technologies. Now, why do we think that AI is vital? So, actually, to go back to this one, there's one thing that I do have to add, that when we want the technology to understand and interpret more than one sequence that we tell them, this is something that we're still tackling down. So this is the area of natural language processing that is still evolving. It's a continuous process, but it is still not there. But we're really hoping that it will be well done and is going to be tackled and, pave the way for us in the near future. So count in about 2-3 years, and I'm pretty sure that you can talk to your phone just in the movie Her, where the Scarlett Johansson was portraying the chatbot. Yeah, so pretty much we'll have something like that. Now, why is AI, getting all that together and to putting it to pretty much a conclusion, why is AI important for virtual assistants? So, they have to be interactive. So, they have to be helpful. We install them so they assist us on our everyday basis. So, they have to be interactive. They need to understand what we are telling them or what we're asking them. And this is where, again, NLP and NLU are kicking in. And this is what is really important. And they need to be able to give you a meaningful answer. So you have to feel like there is actually a human in your machine, not just a robotic sequence of just data and numbers that is, trying to process everything you're giving it. And to know that, what involves giving the meaningful, correct answer? That would be the knowledge about, let's say, if we're talking about business applied chatbots, it has to know your company, it has to know your area of expertise, pretty much has to know everything about the area that you're talking about. If it's your personal chatbot, it has to know everything about you. Now, I do know that there are some companies in the United States that are nowadays creating chatbots. They're going to be a mix of a textual and talking virtual assistant. And it's supposed to be scanning all of your social media, all of your phone data, and everything you give it permission to actually know you and to, be a doppelganger. And it should be really nice. But it has to, have all this data processed. And it might be difficult. Plus, we do have different norms that a lot of people, they don't want to give access to it. So I do hope that this project comes to life, but Not exactly sure about it. So apart from that, we need the world knowledge. If we want something universal, this universal thing has to know everything you want it to know. But let's think about, for example, IBM Watson. It was the first ever example of successful linguistically AI that could answer questions seamlessly. Now, when it was just kicking off, I still remember that it was mostly on the peak in 2010, more or less. This is when Watson just started to appear, just the whole idea. By about 2013, people started to talk about it, and they launched their first promo video. And you could see how basically you just like sending it a request, and it's answering. They featured it on Trivia, this United States show where you have to answer questions. And the ability of Watson to process all the data and give out the answer fast, well, that was something that we haven't seen before. And this is what people are trying to reach now when they're creating the virtual assistants. Apart from that, they have to understand the discourse. When I'm saying the discourse, I do mean the meaning, the real meaning of what we're telling your AI. And the building the virtual assistant is not exactly an easy task. Now, why a lot of people since last year started talking about linguistics and computational linguistics? If before, even when I started to study it, I felt that it's going to be something very, very uninteresting, and I just have to take it down and just, forget about it. But then it just started to kick off, because every person who works in technology, everyone who wants to make someone's life easier, even the programming code, they're all based on linguistics. It's all based on languages, because, well, it's all the processing. And the building a virtual assistant is a pretty heavy task. If before, people used to use the old way, which is the rule-based approach. You just have a script, you teach your, let's say, model how to answer it. It's just as simple as that. That's how it used to be. But now we're facing more problems, and now this is the reason why people do need to invest more. Let's say if you have a company and you want to invest in one of these technologies, this is the reason why you actually need to train and get the trained professionals. Because now what we have is they analyze all the hypotheses, they extract the entities from the text, so basically they're building the database for you that you can use in your, area of expertise. They morphologically analyze the phrases, which means that they will, they can have them ordered up, and it's going to be nice and easy for you, and they just teach your chatbot how to talk. And considering that all these technologies have been evolving, and we're going to see even more, reasons to include it in artificial intelligence, there's just one question, that if you have a company or you're a startup that is working with languages, why wouldn't you just invest in really good trained professionals? And let's say you have a chatbot, and that is based, let's say on one of the messengers that we all have. It can be a Telegram, it can be Messenger, it can be WhatsApp, anything. All of them are now used for the base of a chatbot. You can just create a script that will be the old way, the rule-based approach. You'll have a script, you'll be answering, but it's still not going to give you that much of a flexibility. It's not going to give you the feeling that you're talking to a real person, and that's what we're trying to, achieve here. Now, if you actually want to do that, and if you want to kick it off, so just ask yourself, why don't you get the trained linguist? That's the question that, as ridiculous as it might sound now, it's actually something that I've came across, since, the last 3 years. When people think about computational linguistics, they think that, okay, it has something to do with technology, then probably we need the programmers. It's also a correct thing to think, but in reality, the part of the processing, part of the, managing the language with the natural language processing comes mostly from languages. It doesn't come just from technical guys. They can be good with writing a script, they can be good with writing a code, but then when you need the more technicalities, when you need to make your chatbot to understand what you're saying, or if you need them to give you a reasonable answer, you need someone who actually did languages. And as simple as it is, it should be done. And if you have over 2.5 billion users of social media applications, and you're using a chatbot that cannot give you an answer to what you want them to ask, it's just ridiculous. So if you're planning to make a chatbot or a virtual assistant, or you're planning to work with this linguistical conversational AI, do yourself a favor, hire a linguist, or at least get a student. They're actually working even better than the professionals because they're hungry for doing something right.